I understand. Look, it's his first mission outside of, like, okay. Alright, maybe I'll bring him in. Hang on a sec. Hello, everyone on Retro's channel. This is the Real Nerf Scott Summers. Not in my usual attire for winners. To make a long story short, yes, I am a Yankee man. And so is Retro, apparently. So at least something came good out of the whole Psycho Report business. And if you're wondering why I'm here, oh god, Scott, what X-Men related property are you going to talk about this time? Well, in this particular case, it's not the current war that's sort of not a war, but sort of a tournament that's happening that my son Cable is one of the swordsmen for because of Space Knights and stuff that Retro's been going on and on about. And if you're also wondering why he's not screaming in the back, it's because I might have put him on protection detail that may or may not have blown up in my face. We're checking biosensors on the island, and again, we are still following the plan. In case for those who are new to the island, in Coco, we are still following the real-life version of the plan, not the comic version of the plan, because even we don't know that plan at this point, so that all being said. So, comic stuff out of the way, for now at least, let's get to something we've been all wanting to review on this channel before even I showed up for the last 3 ungodforsaken years, or whatever belief you are mutant-wise and human homo sapien-wise. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about New Mutants. To put it bluntly, this is going to be a non-spoilers review because I'm almost certain Retro would love nothing more to do than to bring one of his old job friends who talked about the trailer way back, ooh, I don't know, in 2017? Yeah, cards of that in the cards. So yeah, where have we been since we last left off on the synopsis of this long overdue movie that was way more delayed than even Dark Phoenix was? And yes, there is a previous video. Yes, I'm going to leave it in the description instead of on the actual video itself because turns out Logan had a grand old time talking to death about how that whole timeline's basically a trash fire. And this is why we make you eat salads up in the up at the moon base. Long family drama story, just saying, from my side of the Summer/Gray family. Anyway, where do I begin? Well, first of all, Rain, our wolf kind of Spain character, was played by Maisie Williams, and the whole crux of why this thing took forever was probably because she was still doing Game of Thrones at the time, and turns out that wasn't the case. There wasn't any reshoots whatsoever. However, I will shout out a couple of people I do remember working with that have decent actors playing them. Sunspot by Henry Zaga. I hope I got that last name right, just letting you know right there, my guy. Reyes actually became a Doctor adapted character for us. That's great. One problem, it was Alice Braga, and she was a villain instead of the usual resident physician even back during The Mansion. Okay, thanks for nothing, Josh, for that one. Josh Boone was also the director of this thing. It was totaled at a grand spanking 1 hour and 39, can you say 96 minutes, kids? Because that's what it was. And Charlie Heaton from Stranger Things fame was also our son's Cannonball, Sam Gertrude. And the reason why I'm not talking about Anya Taylor-Joy's Magic, Ilya Rasputin, is because Colossus had some things to say, but unfortunately she also couldn't be available to be here in figure or I guess somehow make a real enough version of Retro doing that. That'd be a weird way, but hey, transfers, I guess. Long story short, she's not here is because, well, she's also at the other world during our X of Swords event. But what I can say is that she did a pretty good adaptation of what she had. The hair was on point. The magic in question was right. Limbo was represented pretty well. Her sword was exactly what you're going to be seeing in the tournament if we haven't been cheated to death by Saturn 9. Again, basically go to Cape Troll. He basically talked to death about how she's basically cheating and making the products look bad. Yeah, not good for our island, long story short, Sovereign Nation-wise, in the comics. Again, I'm gonna try to not bleed that into this review, because, again, this was 3 years overdue, and we all kind of basically knew it. So, who's playing Danny Moonstar? Blue Hunt was basically the central focus throughout this entire movie because she's trying to understand everyone who was also there in this medical facility, which never really got a name, but apparently was an Exis Corp kind of place, so I'm going to have to talk to Mr. Sinister about that because me, my wife, my kids all have a history of Mr. Sinister and Essex Corporation, so again, if Retro ever gets a Marvel Legends figure of that guy, he's going to have a fun time trying to explain how this movie didn't even get that right. Barely, mind you. In Danny's case, they got some of her power sets, which was explaining most of the fear that was going on throughout the whole facility. And apparently she was like they're closest to a mega level, which even though my son has talked to that son not Sunspot Cannonball can basically be a higher echelon than Omega level. For those who don't know that or read power levels in the mutant sense, that basically means he's more immortal than Retro claims he is. Again, just saying for his OC. So that all being said, as far as remembering this movie, it's pretty easy to some extent because again, this thing was reshot. Probably there were deleted scenes all over the place. Maybe I'll leave a card to one of the channels that finally released all the deleted scenes. Some of them has finished CG, like I guess Retro might have also mentioned during his Artemis Fowl review, so it might be that kind of scenario as well. And if you're somebody who just wants to see a complete movie and want to put all those scenes together, a la, like, I guess, Batman Forever, then go ahead, do it. I'm not putting it against you. It had like at least another half hour, like Retro also said with his Artemis Fowl review, at least get you a stern but fair 2 hours on the mark, but I guess even that would be a brisk nonetheless. So the reason why I'm not talking much about the plot, because it really wasn't much of a plot. It was just them bitching about their powers and stuff like every other ex-Gene kid like myself had to put up with, coming together to be a team to get out of the facility, realizing that Danny was the real reason why they are stuck there all along. And the rest is pretty much history, because there was really nothing after that once the facility blew up. It's like, oh cool, it's gone. Let's go check out that town like 7 miles out. Basically, they finished the movie off screen. Like, again, I'm pretty sure what little spoilers I might have left out. Retro and his old work friend might talk about it if they want to show up for the year-end roundup, which honestly at this point I would love for Retro to do, and my wife included, and just saying. Anyway, so my overall thoughts, since I'm going to keep it at the 10 system for Retro, since I am, sharing his body, psycho rapport-wise until I get a Marvel Legends figure. And another thing I've been mentioning on Bury the Lead behind the scenes is that I've been wanting him to get the love triangle from the 90s Retro Wave Marvel Legends, but unfortunately due to a new conference that happened during Hasbro, I think one of their live streams, basically put out a big mold of you-know-who, me, and my wife, in their current comic form, so best believe Retro's gonna hope to hell those are single packs so that he could get them finally. He already has a Logan, it's just basically a reskin from that X-Force wave, so technically speaking he doesn't have to really buy much there. Unless he needs a new head sculpt, which at this point he might as well be mining those figures, honestly. After that, my overall review for that news, awesome to hear, can't wait for more. And hopefully in Marvel Legends related when it comes to New Mutants, there have been some New Mutants figures that came out last year, thinking that was also finally going to come out that year too, and the year before that, and you see where we're going here. I guess to bury the lead, finally, this thing has been delayed to death mainly because of the Fox-Disney merger. Now that that's finally over, and this was on digital as of yesterday, as of this recording, I don't know, it's a forgettable movie. I think one reviewer, I forgot the name of the channel off the top of mine and Retro's head, since we're sharing it. I guess Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z, if you guys want to go there, Kami and all. Again, this kid has anime, and I gotta use it somehow. Anyway, long story short, it's a 7. It's a hard fought 7, but to some aspects it's not going to be forgettable. The cast itself, I know I glossed over basically everyone here, especially Anya Taylor-Joy and Maisie Williams. They did the best they could with that material, especially in Maisie's case. She did the best version of her. We're ever probably going to get live action wise, which is great to hear as long as her origins go. As for Anya Taylor being Magic, she's fine. She's just okay. They never really did anything to confirm that she's the daughter of, Colossus, who has been one of my oldest teammates. Again, what the shit, Josh? But, even trying to find something to talk about in a bad movie kind of sense is also forgettable, because, again, you all understand the road that this movie had to go through. This went through 3 unforgiving years to be shot and completed and distributed. And the budget was estimated at $67 million, so even if it broke even in a normal theatrical run that would have been last year, it probably would have got 80 or 90 to at least offset the cost. They probably would have hoped for like a cool 100 plus mil internationally to at least pay back 3 years of marketing that went to basically nothing at this point. ultimately, I'm happy for what we got. I'm happy for the cast we got. And for some reason, looking up the Google here, hence why I'm more organized than Retro, in case you can tell vlog-wise. Apparently, Marilyn Manson might have doubled as one of those stilted Smiling Men guys that was a production from Magic's Head in this movie. If so, that's pretty awesome. Very metal of him. Very awesome. I know he's more of a grunge guy back in the day, and I think alternative emo rock, I guess, if I remember my late 90s, like Retro apparently does, now that I'm sharing his head. I don't really know after that. There were some decent character actors that helped out being abandoned dads or dead dads in most of these characters' cases, going through the going through the plotline of the story. So yeah, bearing lead on this whole thing. Ultimately, if Retro was here, he'd probably do the same thing, 7 or 6 out of 10, because again, this took forever to come out for what is a okay but not too forgettable story, thankfully. At the same time, if Logan was here, he would probably drag the entire school, in this case now the entire freaking island, to talk shit about this movie, because of fucking course he would. My beef aside with the old man, everything else, I hope the cast moves on and has a better career. For Blue Hunt, who plays Moonstar, and even for Henry, who plays Sunspot, this has probably been the only thing on their filmography they've been hoping to get more exposure of, and this is me just saying that, not just Retro. It sucks knowing that this is going to be the only thing they're going to have for a while. I hope for those two actors in particular that they get something new out of their careers and they branch off into something nice. Career-wise, for Charlie, Anya, and Maisie, they're all going to do an okay job outside of this. They have franchises to fall back on. At the time, in Maisie's case, when this was still in delayed hell, I guess, not permanent hell anymore. She's still at the Game of Thrones series, and honestly, she could probably do another TV show now. Probably locally on the BBC, so that she could at least stay home or whatever, quarantine-wise. I don't know, for Arlene Taylor, I'm almost certain she's going to do more highbrow or mid-tier horror flicks like she's been doing for the last couple of years. So again, all three of those actors look like they can secure themselves. In Charlie's case, since we're also talking about security, he also still works at, still works with, he has a good working relationship with Netflix, hence why he's still going to be probably in the next season of Stranger Things. So all three of those actors are already secured their bags of having another job down the road. As for everybody else, directing-wise, writing-wise, the CG team that had to go through this, I hope nothing for the best. I hope Disney is helping you, or hurting, or you got a new job somewhere, because this was 3 years way the hell overdue. And this video is also 2 more minutes overdue than I already tend to talk about. So with that all being said, I hope to hell you actually saw this movie, and I hope to hell everyone gives this at least some version of a fair shake, or if nothing else, just read the comics if you want to know how these people really are nowadays, because they're actually not bad, characters outside of this movie now. And with that all being said, end cards coming up, and me not optiblasting this side of the screen for Retro's previous video, which was talking about Jurassic World related information with Dominion hopefully becoming a thing in the next couple of years. My other hopefully doesn't get zapped over here side of the end screen, so that Retro goes on about, speaking of Marvel news, a J. Jonah Jameson figure, and among other things, Spider-Man related. Retro might be coming back, hopefully, later this weekend to talk about, finally once and for all, his RVB 0 review that he's been dreaming of doing since he heard about the news. Screen went down, not a good sign, I don't really know. I'm rambling for the sake of rambling, and with that all being said, I gotta go find my kid. I gotta see if I can get into that other world, see if he's okay. And if not, see if I can get Retro to do it for me. Just saying, you're gonna be working this weekend, just saying. That all being said, for the director and everybody, you did the best which you could. I have no clue why it took 3 years. I understand the buyout, but ultimately, meh. I mean, it's not Dark Phoenix bad. And that's me being the nicest about those critiques. Just saying, Logan.